Hi, I'm your host, Marlo Lemon, and you're listening to Wild Voice, the podcast where I take this voice of mine and share my wild journey with you. Being widowed at 34 with a 15-month-old, most would see as life ending, and instead, I alchemized it and put life back together. Through my own healing, I realized who I am and what I'm here to do. I'm an intuitive energy healer and spiritual teacher, and sharing how I view the world is how I help you upgrade your life and alchemize your journey into magic. I'm going to shoot it to you straight. I have been trying to record this New Year episode for a couple days now. I've even been in my recording studio right now, probably done about 5 takes. I've written some notes out, I've gone off the cuff, and nothing is feeling right. So I sat here for a minute and I thought, okay, I'm going to take my own advice. And for some reason, pushing a New Year's episode on you guys just isn't following through. And then something popped into my head as I stopped the recording and said, this episode fucking sucks. I realized this is not what I want to talk about. The new year to me is, yes, an amazing time to celebrate, a reason to start fresh, an opportunity to look at things through a new lens. And I love that. Don't get me wrong. I am always a sucker for an opportunity to make a shift, evolve, or upgrade. New Year's resolutions for me have always been something I just couldn't follow through on. And you might know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't mean that we can't want something to shift or have it be different. But I just see it as, why do we have to wait for the new year? These are things that I'm doing constantly. There are things I do throughout my day that I'm like, I think I would like to do that differently. Or, I wonder why I approach things that way. Or, I wonder why I'm still triggered by that thing. Now, if you can relate to any of that, this episode, you might get something from. So I'm going to go completely off topic, and I'm actually going to go with what keeps popping into my head, which I think might be a good topic based on the end of the holiday season, going back into what might feel like everyday life. Mental well-being. Now, a lot of us talk about it and we use the word mental health. With my experience with it, for some reason, when you say that, doesn't it sound like a negative thing? When someone says, I'm struggling with my mental health, it instantly goes to this place of danger or being worried or scared or depression. If someone says, you need to focus on your mental health or you need to take a mental health day, we instantly picture that person maybe hiding under their sheets, not getting out of bed, or maybe somebody who's sitting there crying or can't function in their day. So to me, I've struggled to find a word that really encompasses the positive aspects of what that actually means. Focusing on mental health could also be, I'm actually focusing on my mental well-being, my mental clarity, my thought process, my perspectives. So I've decided to do a little shift, and I want to call it perspective clarity. Having a perspective on something is honestly what justifies what's going on with us mentally. And when I use the word mentally, I'm talking about in our brain. So perspective is all brain focused, right? I can either look at something and I can see it as a negative thing, or I can see it as a good thing. And from there, my emotions kick in, and then the rest is history. So if I am focusing on my perspective clarity, that means I'm having experiences and things in life that are happening or I'm feeling, and I want to get clarity on my perspective of it. And is that perspective serving me? So if I have a negative connotation to something that is happening in my life, let's say I feel stressed, overwhelmed, financial troubles, lack of clarity in a relationship, feeling not put first, feeling like health might not be a priority, not feeling good about myself or the words that I'm using towards myself. So if these are things that are swirling and I want them to have a purpose, then getting clarity on my perspective and how I perceive it is number one. Because if I can get clarity on my perspective on any situation, I can see where maybe there might be an imbalance, something that's lacking harmony. And something cannot be great and happening to us, and we can still have harmony with it. We can still allow it to have purpose. And that is what I have found in some of my darkest moments. What was lacking? The purpose of it all. When we feel like something bad is happening, it really is about we're missing the purpose. So if I know that something happening to me, let's say an argument with a friend, that sounds terrible, right? Who would want to go through that? Who would want to deal with that? Especially if you're a people pleaser, you're going to be like, ooh, that physically feels uncomfortable in my body to have someone upset with me. So if I'm feeling that way, perspective clarity in that moment would be, this isn't good. I'm in danger, right? The emotional sense. I feel uncomfortable. My mind isn't focused. I'm distracted. And now I'm in my emotions. And maybe in fear, abandonment, worry, you name it, anxiety. That's a favorite of a lot of ours, huh? So if I'm feeling that way and I'm hanging out there, most likely my perspective needs a shift if I want to no longer feel this way. So I might get clarity with this situation. I might sit and actually think about, why is this good that this is happening? What is the benefit to this uncomfortable moment that I feel I do not like? Well, it might be I'm learning to put my foot down. I'm using my voice. It might be I find out how much I really enjoy my friend. It might evolve our relationship because we're both being honest. And when we're being honest and coming from an intentional, soul-aligned place, it always goes in our favor. There is always an evolvement process. There is always an upgrade. So it's impossible to not take something good from something that feels shitty. So what I've done is I've gotten perspective clarity. I have found the purpose. And now that I've found the purpose, if you've noticed, it lessens the emotion. It drops that wall. And now I see things from a more balanced, harmonious place. Now, that doesn't mean that nothing needs to be done. That doesn't mean that there aren't any actions that need to take place to allow it to continue to evolve, but I've done the first step. I've done the first step of actually getting clear, shifting my perspective, and giving it purpose. And when we do that, our soul self and human self is exactly on the same page. And that is what we want. That is literally my job when I have sessions with people. Your soul self brings you this direction. Our human self needs purpose. Our soul self has so much purpose, it doesn't even register that that's something that's even to be talked about, because there is so much purpose within our soul self, and it's just a knowing. Have you ever had something that you just know? You didn't need any explanation. You didn't need anyone else's opinion. You just knew. There is something in your life that you have experienced that you just knew. That's how much purpose a soul has. That's all it is purpose. Our human self is the one that has a hard time seeing that. Purpose is a huge part why people have a lot of anxiety, depression, even suicide. So the biggest gift is getting opportunities to practice, getting our soul self and our human self on the same page and as effortlessly as possible. And even if your human self needs more explaining, maybe it needs more information, it needs more options or details pointed out, that's okay. You do you. And you'll notice there'll be some things you need some more convincing on, and other things you might need 2 for one situation. You might need 5 for another. The more we need, most likely the more rooted and deep it goes. So regardless of your opinion on New Year's resolutions, the celebration in general is an opportunity to make a shift. Now, I can't say I'm on board for actually making a New Year's resolution, because these are things I don't think should just happen once a year. They are things I am constantly thinking about throughout my day, throughout my week, my month. When life is lifing, you better believe there are a lot of opportunities for me to reassess, get perspective clarity, and find the purpose. So when we talk about our mental health, when we talk about wanting to feel better in our own mind, what does that look like? What does that look like for you? Is it to quiet the noise? Is it to get purposeful with your days? Is it to actually boost what you're doing well so you can continue to do things that make you feel good? I will tell you, pointing out the things that you are doing wrong, which sometimes New Year's resolutions are a big highlighter on, don't necessarily get us to want to make the changes. So to me, in my opinion, supporting your overall thought process, the way you see the world and yourself, shifting perspective is a spa day for our brain and our mental health. So try it. And if you're still someone that's like, you know what, it's the new year, but I have no desire to shift anything, change anything, I don't even feel called to. I actually feel less called to because all of you are doing it. Maybe trust your intuition on that. Because did you know that back in the day, New Year's was actually considered during the spring equinox, which is in March. So that's why spring feels like a fresh start. Spring cleaning, new beginnings. The days and nights are equal in time or light. However you explain that. I don't know. Astronomically, lunar systems, astronomical. You know what I mean. So New Year's can be a time where we have a lot of momentum. and we get excited, but we're missing the foundation to have these things stick. And sometimes we're picking things that actually aren't that intentional, actually aren't things we want to do. If you don't like working out, do not set a New Year's resolution to work out more. Figure out why you don't like working out. And who knows, that path to ultimate health and fitness and overall well-being physically could actually be in that question alone: perspective clarity. So however you approach this new year, whether you are excited for it, dreading it, looking forward to it being done, or just getting the party started, take inventory of your perspective clarity and find purpose in everything. Happy January, whatever that means for you. Okay, just because this episode's over, it doesn't mean our time together has to be. Check the show notes on ways for us to stay connected. And one more thing, if you found this episode helpful, I would be so excited if you chose to rate it, review it, like it, share it, or shout it from the rooftops to those you think might align with it. The more soul-aligned we are, the more beautiful, harmonious, and fulfilling this world becomes. We're in this wild ride of life together. Okay, that's all. I'm your host, Marlo Lemon, and you've been listening to Wild Voice.